Hey everybody, it's GauntletX, and welcome back to another premiere draft of Lorwyn Eclipsed, the newest set on Arena. Very pumped to get back into things, so without further ado, let's just grab our pack one, pick one here. I think all of these Eclipsed uncommons are fantastic cards in their respective archetypes. They do slot very nicely into only their archetype, though. You don't really want to play these in an off-color deck, even though they have the hybrid mana costs, which seems flexible. When you have triple hybrid mana, like triple green or triple black, that's a very difficult mana cost for other strategies. So I highly recommend keeping these only in dedicated two-color synergistic versions of their types deck, like this in just a green-black elf deck. But if you put this into a green-black elf deck, it's going to be absolutely incredible, and so are the rest of the Eclipsed cards. So pretty happy to start with one of those here when we don't have a strong rare. Pick number 2, we actually do have a pretty reasonable Merfolk rare now. 3 mana to make a copy of your best Merfolk and draw a card is kind of the average baseline for this, which is a really good rate. So that's a pretty fantastic Merfolk rare. There's also the Eclipsed Kithkin, though, another one of these Eclipsed uncommons that's great. Or there is the Spry and Mighty, which is a decent card that we could put into a green-black elf deck if we stick to our Eclipsed elf here. But I think it's probably better to just take the strongest card each pick for a little while until you see one specific type or one specific archetype being passed to you more than the others. So I'm just going to grab the strongest card and take the Sig's command here. Probably a tiny bit stronger than the Eclipsed Kithkin, but those are both really close because how strong the Eclipsed cards are. Pick number 3, we see nothing good for green-black elves. I suppose the Grove Guide would be a fine card. We see nothing good for Merfolk. Keep Out would be a fine card. So we take fine filler for something we're already doing, or we just take the strongest card again, the Eclipsed Boggart, and just be in 3 different directions. Guess I'm going Boggart here. I think the dip in power level from Boggart to Grove Guide or Keep Out is significant. These are like 20th to 23rd playables in your deck. They're certainly not premium cards. But a pick for Loyalists now gives us 2 very good reasons to be in Elves, or a pick for Reejerey gives us 2 very good reasons to be in Merfolk. There is a Blossom Bind and a Reejerey, which means a tiny bit more like blue-white stuff than green-black stuff, but Loyalist plus Eclipsed Elf sounds like an insane start to me. I mean, Encumbered Reejerey turn 2 into Sig's command turn 3 is also kind of an insane start. This is close stuff, but I'm going to take the Loyalist here. We've played Merfolk pretty recently. I'd like to hop onto the elf train this time if we can. Unfortunately, I picked the coin flip wrong. We should have taken the Merfolk card because now it's all blue and white. Although, again, it's not really good stuff for Merfolk. There's obviously nothing for elves, but for Merfolk, it's a Keep Out or an Omni Changeling or a Hollowed Fountain. I actually do like the Omni Changeling a good bit, especially if you can get like an on-color Lord. If you get the Merfolk Lord, being able to duplicate that would be really good. And this played really solidly in my Elementals deck that we played before as well, so take the Omni Changeling there. Alright, there's a great elf. 1 mana, 1/1 Death Touch, gain life as creatures are entering. Don't mind if I do. Pick number 7, there's a reasonable elf, 3 mana, 4/2 flash. There's also a green removal spell, but you need to have a big creature on board to use it, because it is a fight spell, not a bite spell. Your creature will be taking damage when you cast this, so it's got to be big enough to live, which makes it much less flexible. Plus, if they remove it with a removal spell at instant speed, they counter your removal entirely. It still might be better than just a 2 toughness, 3 mana elf, so we'll grab it here. And now here's some good elves. Alright, we can lock in on our green-black elves deck. It was a little rocky there. In the middle, we were seeing some packs that just didn't have elves, so it's like, okay, I guess we're speculating on Merfolk for a bit, but here we are getting some really reasonable elves late, like the Safe Right Cavalry, Brawler, Archer. I'll take the Cavalry here. I've been impressed by this one. Filler elf here. We could take a Midnight Tilling. It does work with the kind of self-mill strategy that the elves are doing, but I'm just going to grab another elf itself. do not like sorcery speed -2/-2. I do not like Auntie's sentence much, so we'll take the archer. And we've got our path, which we will stick to for the rest of the draft. All right, pack 2, pick number 1. There is a blue-white merfolk rare, which we will not be taking. There is a very solid green-blue rare. It's only okay if we're a green-black deck. This will be a 5-mana 6/5 that exiles an artifact or enchantment when it enters. So if our opponent has an artifact or enchantment on the board, it'll be a very good deal. Otherwise, just a 5-mana 6/5 without relevant creature types is not very impressive. But I think in the right matchup, it'll be pretty good. And there's not like a great elf in here. The card we'd be passing up is a Bog Slither's Embrace, which is actually quite a card to miss here because we don't have any... We have one removal spell, just the Pitiless Fists. It does have competition quite a bit, this Wistfulness. I'm still going to take it. It's a cool card. It's a fun card. Sorry, Bog Slither's Embrace. We'll have to scoop up removal slightly later, like now. We can take a Blight Rot, or we can take Lysolana Informant. We don't have any good 2-mana creatures right now, and Informant is one of the best 2-mana elves for getting that graveyard filled for any of your graveyard synergies. So that's actually a very close pick. The 2-drop slot is very important. You need to have at least like 5 to be happy. This is one of the best ones at common. I think I'm going to have to just take that over the removal there. Pick number 3. Here's where that 2-mana slot looks sadly empty again. There's no 2-mana stuff we can take. We can take a discard spell, take a Kithkin, another Kithkin, or a Scarblade's Malice trick. Guess I'm just taking the elf trick. 4-mana discard 2 feels a little much. I don't really think I want to try to splash in double blue. We do have potentially a Wickermon, then maybe a Forest Druid if we took that, and then like some Evolving Wilds later, so that on occasion I could try to double blue the Wistfulness, but that doesn't seem worth it when we've got really restrictive green-black costs. I think I'm just taking another great 2-drop elf and getting that 2-mana slot filled, although the Eulogist is great at 4 as well. But I'm going to take Scarblade Scout here over Great Forest Druid or Dawnhand Eulogist. Pick number 5, another Safe Right Cavalry filling out the 4-mana slot. Looks great. Pick number 6, a nice late Bog Slither's Embrace. Very happy to see that. We are looking for removal, and this pack has no good elves. There is a Moonglove Extractor, but all of the Typal decks in the set are relatively aggressive. They play to the board a lot. It's very hard for this to ever attack more than one time. Usually it's just a trump attack, draw 1, which is not very impressive. Now we'll grab a Eulogist. It's a Tilling or Dawn's Light Archer. Both are super filler. Just get another filler elf. I guess I'll take a Tilling over a 3rd Archer. Not really a fan of either of these. In a green-black elf stack, I'll take the Shimmer Creep. Kithkin Farmer. Scooching some stuff to the side that are likely to be our first cuts if we make enough playables. These 4 cards here. Pack 3, see what we open up, and we've got the High Perfect Morkants. Obviously, not great against a Blight deck, because they'll be able to remove the counters from their stuff, but against anybody else, this is a really strong elf rare, so we're happy to see that. There's an Emptiness as well, which is actually still pretty good even if you don't have white. 6 mana, 3/5, put 3 -1/-1 counters on a creature, but I don't think it's going to be better than the High Perfect here. Even the Dream Harvest could be theoretically okay, but I'll take the Morkant for sure. Here's a great 5-drop, even if it doesn't have relevant creature types. Just 5 mana, 4/4, Vigilance Reach, Ward 2, gain 4. Just stack enough text on that card and it ends up being a great deal. Green Mythic, what is this? 7 mana, 7/7 trample. When it enters, reveal cards from the top of your library to reveal X permanents per X number of colors among permanents you control. Put any number of them onto the battlefield. Oh my god. Okay. 7 mana, 7/7. At absolute worst, flip the top card, flip the top permanent, put it into play, which could be a land, but it could also be like a 3-drop or a 2-drop or something. That's the worst it can do. I'm taking Aurora Awakener. It is expensive at 7 mana, but that feels like an absolute finisher. Pick number 4. Another filler 3 mana elf, or we have Scarblade's Malice. I suppose Chitness Graspling has just gotten a little bit more exciting now that we have a Vivid finisher, but I don't really think I need to build around that card. Even just at 2 permanents, flip it into play. Card seems reasonable. I'll just take another Scarblade's Malice here. Get another Morkant's Loyalist passed to us. It's the pure synergy. Morkant's Loyalist and High Perfect Morkant. Dawnblessed Pennant is probably not horrific when we've got a great elf bomb to pick up from the grave, but still a bit slow and dirtily. There's just really nothing else in the pack anyway, so speculate on it. Pick number 7, Great Forest Druid, helps us get to a 7-drop more easily, and we still need 2 mana cards. That was a really competitive slot on the mana curve in this draft, it looks like. We did not get as many as we want, so we're going to have an awkward curve. We're not really going to beat down often with just 4 2-drops, 2 of which are more defensive, a 0/4 and a 1/3. So this is why you do really want to prioritize good 2-mana creatures very highly, because like even this draft, we didn't prioritize them enough. We did not get a good curve here. I don't really like any of these, but maybe Puka's Eye to go with the Aurora Awakener is kind of cute, but I think I'm just going to leave it out for now. I still would like more 2-drops, and don't really think I want another 7, so we'll take another Wickermaw, which is another 2-drop and another synergy for the Aurora Awakener, another Vivid for it. Here's another 2-drop that's also an elf, that's also Vivid synergy by being blue. Really nice stuff in the end of this pack here that'll help our deck a good chunk. We really do not have any protection for these Moonglove Extractors to try to get them in multiple attacks in a row. We've got some Scarblade's Malices. They can trade up to anything that our opponent blocks with. But I think that still doesn't make them particularly exciting. The best way to make them exciting is to have a bunch of removal to get them through multiple attacks in a row. So I think I'm cutting this one as well as the other one I just drafted. This does still feel like a lot of 3s. Maybe cut a Dawn's Light Archer and a Moonglove Extractor. That looks pretty fine to me. Drop those, and we have a deck. Very reasonable little green-black elf stack here with a bit of Vivid nonsense going on with Aurora Awakener, double Wickermaw, tiny bit of hybrid mana stuff to help that out as well. Looks like a pretty fun, reasonably powerful deck here. The one thing that we are going to be quite worried about that I think went the worst for this draft, went the most poorly, is the lack of removal. We have 1 Embrace and 1 Pitiless Fists. So if our opponents resolve their own good bomb rare, it's not often that we will have the interaction for it. So that is what we are scared of. Fingers crossed we get into some good matchups, but we'll see how this plays out as we hop into the gameplay, see how far it can take us. Here we are on the play for game 1. This is a great hand. Any land's going to get us to Eclipsed Elf, which gets to help dig for the forest to play the Morkant. So it's got a really good 2-3-4 curve out. Some additional elves afterward to do some blighting to our opponent. Blue-white Merfolk from our opponent, probably. They start with an elemental, but doesn't mean that that is what their deck's trying to do. Just means they needed 2-drops, like we're running some Scarecrows at 2 mana. That's tremendously awkward. Dig 4 extra cards and still do not find a forest. I think I have to take the Swamp over the Cavalry so that no matter what, I know I'm at least doing something next turn. But yikes. That means of the 2 draw steps and 4 extra cards. We didn't see a forest, but there it is. It arrived just on time. Things looked real scary for a millisecond, but now we're fine. Okay. Eclipsed Elf for Peddler is not a bad trade, since it's just an enter the battlefield effect style card, and we have multiple ways to bring it back. Both of our Loyalists are Lords. Could alternatively have tapped the board to put one more -1/-1 on that Summit Sentinel, but that's obviously not particularly impressive. It's already small enough, it just trumps and dies, so an extra minus on it isn't going to do anything. Okay. Don't have double green, so I can only play one elf this turn. If there's an elf in your graveyard. Is there an elf in our graveyard? There's not an elf in our graveyard right now, so... Could hold off on Eulogist just to make sure there's an elf in grave. And instead go for, like, Informant plus Malice, but Informant's really bad against the 1/1. The 2 toughness is still pretty bad. I feel like the 3 toughness is still important enough to just play this and hope that we get lucky with our mill. We'll see. Miss a couple point of damage if we don't. Mill 3 and it's 3 lands. Technically good to not draw those, but obviously pretty disappointing. We don't get the life drain there. That is a very scary sign if our opponent's going to take all of that damage. They're not going to trade their 2/2 into our 3/2 or our 2/2 lifelink or anything. They feel that they can race all this. Or blow it up somehow or something. 5th swamp before our 2nd forest means only 1 elf and hold up the Malice here. Okay, I mean, none of their creatures have 4 toughness, so we still send in all the 3 power cards. Let's just get a Surveil here. I don't feel the need to flash in a 4/2. It's not big enough to eat their flyer. It would still be a trade on blocks, which we don't want to do. Find Virulent Emissary? Sure, I'll take any elf I can draw. Alright, obviously kill the Peddler here. I could Malice and kill them both. Get an elf back. Yeah, I don't hate that. They've got a lot of open mana here, though, so they could have instant speed removal in response. But if they instant speed removal this Eulogist, then that means not killing the Morkant. Pick up the Sky Swimmer to replay and get more blockers. That's pretty good. This Blight's actually going to be great from the token hitting the board, since they're down to just a 1/1 and a 2/2. Either we kill the 1/1, or we -1/-1 the 2/2, then proliferate and kill that too. Or kill that instead. Sneakling's good here to show up and scoop up that Blight counter. Although I think it still would have been better for them to just put it on the 1/1. At that point, just lose a 1/1 instead of losing a 2/2. Tributary Vaulter, and then Convoke out the 2/2 and 1/1. Now that we've gotten those 1/3s that draw cards out of the way, it's only good Blight targets from here on out. Send in the Flock Imposter and play the discussion. No, they're going to play Rhymekin Recluse. Kill the token. Fair enough. Okay. Kind of want to Blight pre-combat. I'm going to keep playing the highest power creatures here. Okay, we kill the 1/1. That is an attack all. Because they take 8 damage if they try to kill Morcant. So we could trade 3/2s and bounce off the 2/2, take 7, go to 1. Or they go trade, go to 2. Good stuff. See what our surveil is. It is swamp number 6. Get out of there. Technically swamp number a lot more than that if you count all the mills. We've been milling a lot of our forests is the issue. Although now I only have the 1 green card in hand, so not having the 2nd green could be no longer an issue. So we know worst case scenario, they have the 3 blockers to survive another turn from the Sky Swimmer alone, but they're going to play the Pestered Well Guard here. Aurora Awakener's the draw, which we don't have the mana for. They are dead on board. So they must have some kind of instant here if they chose to play Well Guard instead. Yeah, and Arena's holding for them. So they have a 2-mana instant. I don't know the set well enough still. I think I need to just blight away the Well Guard. They could have Keep Out, but there's no enchantments or tapped creatures on the board, so that wouldn't be holding for them right now. They could have the +2/+2 first strike trick. I think against that, we tap these 3 and then attack with Scout. Because if it's Keep Out, it wouldn't be holding, so they're not going to keep out Morcant here. So we attack with Scout, and then they can use that trick to beat the Scout, or we just trade and that's fine. Okay, it's a rare. It's really hard to play around rares, but the rare doesn't even matter. It's a 2/2. All right. Oh, I should have played this Swamp. So that if we hit a land, we're playing Aurora Awakener next turn. I got too soaked up within the mind space of what do they have? What is this? They drew another instant, and we are punished for not playing the Awakener. I guess we'll see what it is. How good was your top deck? Okay, it's just destroy a creature. Fair. So they go to 1. That was really punished for not playing Aurora Awakener, though. That was super loose. Not playing that land the turn before. But here it is. Probably a land on top. Let's see. Ooh, it's a Wistfulness on top. Hello. Did I say punish? No, I'm actually fine. I will trade a 1/1 for a 1/1, because all we need is them to have 1 less blocker than we have attackers. We can do that and then remove a creature. Draw 3, discard 1. They do not find enough blockers. That's concession from our opponent. Very sloppy game. We could play that a lot better in the future. I mean, it was only really 1 line that went really wrong. Just holding the land instinctually instead of just playing it out. I had a 7-drop in hand. There was no reason to hold that land, so we would have had that Awakener out a turn sooner, which would have meant that we actually would have gotten the double trigger off the Vivid instead of just 1 permanent. It would have been 2 permanents off the top. Which that part's not super relevant because it still would have been Wistfulness and then, probably a land afterwards. But just having the 7/7 trample on the board ready to attack, not summoning sick, would have ended this game a turn sooner, which is incredibly relevant. So need to tighten those things up. But for now, the deck itself operating super, super well. Really just high perfect Morcant being a ridiculously strong rare that our opponent did not have the removal to destroy until it was too late. So that is 1-0 heading into game 2. Game 2 here really shows off the power of Eclipsed Elf. This is 2 monocolored hands that we've had in a row, which would have to be mulligans in a lot of instances, but having the Eclipsed Elf each time really helps the hand out, because it's guaranteed playable off of any third land, and it digs for the black source if we need it. The Midnight Tilling is also helpful here. I'll give that credit where it's due. Wow. Triple Swamp, Pummeler for hire. Oh my god. We got Elf into the High Perfect again. Unless I miss, then we don't. Our top 4 had 0 lands because we had 3 on the Midnight Tilling. Very clumpy games of Magic today in terms of the order of our cards, which has been not particularly beneficial. So our opponent is on likely some form of vivid strategy. They have green, black, and blue, as well as the Druid that taps for mana of any color. Our worst case scenario play next turn is to play a Loyalist, and then we have a 4/3 to attack into the 0/4. So, unless they kill Eclipsed Elf for some reason, it's not really possible that we have like a bad turn next turn. Although, ideally, we draw the 4th land and get this High Perfect out there. When you have the Loyalist to back it up, it is incredibly worth playing. Uh-oh. Formidable Speaker is a really gross card, because it's just like a very well-statted creature, a 3-mana 2/4 that guarantees you draw your next bomb rare. You just discard any dirty creature and discard any card, period, even a land, and then just grab your bomb rare, which is Marilyn Fae Ascendant, which will be a problem. We do not have a lot of removal in this deck, so we do not have removal in this hand. Well, we just play our own rare, so that we both have one on the board. If I just play Loyalist here, I guess I can attack this turn, but I can attack this turn off of playing High Perfect. No, I can't, because they'll just blight onto the Druid instead of the Speaker. How important is it to get an attack off? I don't think that really helps too much, because they're just going to have a 5 toughness creature the turn after anyway. Yeah, no, we just get the High Perfect down, make sure that we're blighting every turn. This counter's definitely going onto the Druid. And we pass. Here comes Marilyn. Which will shred us to bits if we don't find one of our 2 removal spells. We do have Scarblade's Malice. We can try to attack into the Marilyn. So, at least we don't have to worry about it being a 4/5, really. We don't really have to worry about the 5 toughness on blocks, because we have Scarblade's Malice. So we're just free to attack into it all day long. But the ability's still going to get us. They're still going to be hitting us for 4 in the sky every turn. It's a card that'll keep casting stuff out of our deck for free. Yeah, without even paying the mana cost. And there it is. Let's see what they hit here. They hit a 3-drop, luckily too expensive. We hit our swamp here so that we can run out a 4-drop as well as Scarblade's Malice. But I think I would rather run out the Loyalist, attack in with the High Perfect. So I've got a 5/5 attacking in. They'd have to double block, they would not want to. Although even if they did, it would be incredible for us. We'll just trade into both. Send in both, it's obviously suspicious, but the worst case scenario is getting 9 damage in. And the best case scenario is getting the Marilyn off the board. Go to 11 then. Luminolisk, gain a chunk of life. And a 2/4 Death Toucher. Really stops the high perfect attacks. Markant's Eyes, no elves in the grave yet. That's an elf entering the battlefield though, so a mana value 3 or less spell gets cast. Another great forest druid. Yep. Nice. I'm like, maybe if I just make my hand glow for a second, they will not attack me. Because they're scared I have some weird trick that'll kill it on attacks. Okay. Safe Right Cavalry's pretty good here. Eulogist is also, like, perfectly solid. Although it does mill me some more, and they're milling me kind of every turn. Kind of want to Safe Right Cavalry. Yep. Just gonna let that first druid die. Tap 3 of my creatures to kill that. The 3/2 doesn't attack well. The 4/3 doesn't attack well. The high perfect doesn't attack well. Okay, the 4/3 attacks fine with Malice. The 3/2 does not. So I can attack with the 4/3 and then just blight with everybody else. Take a crackback, but I'm at 20. Probably worth it. They go to 10. If we blight and kill this Great Forest Druid, it means that our next blight goes onto a different creature, but it actually might not be worth it still, because then the next blight just goes onto the next Great Forest Druid, which takes another 4 counters or 4 proliferates anyway. Yeah, I guess I'm holding. If they hit any elves in their graveyard with this, we are so dead. Because then Maryland just fully mills us out. It's gonna be like Maryland mill a million. Ooh, that's actually very good for us. Now our proliferate is worth it. They spread it out like that. I'm gonna discard the Miller. Oh my god. They hit our 1 of 2 removal spells. Now they kill the High Perfect and we don't proliferate. Well, there goes our entire plan. I believe they only play 1 of the cards, at least. But there's still no winning now if they've killed our bomb and gotten rid of one of our only 2 removal spells in the deck for us to get rid of theirs. That is very unfortunate. They play the Loyalist. It's not good either. But this game's more winnable with them having a Loyalist on board than it is the other way around. Okay. Land is not a good draw. Take 8 on the crackback right now. Can't attack the perfect into the Death Toucher. Loyalist doesn't pick up anything right now. I don't really think I have attacks currently. I mean, I could go cavalry into Luminolisk. Okay, so I think I do get to proliferate onto these druids. Since they chose to spread their counters around, that's actually good for us. And then we're going to drop a cavalry for another blight. And have a Scarblade's Malice up. This is a matchup I actually should hold up an extra card for if they have like another Dream Caesar. Okay, Death Touch trade makes sense. This doesn't give trample, so we just take that trade. And we play the next cavalry. Cool. Now that next druid is a proliferate from dead. Marilyn is a chunk stronger than High Perfect. If they play any other elves or fairies, we're still pretty much dead, because then they're casting 2 more cards again. Important to remember this can untap stuff, but again, we have the Malice if they untap the Marilyn. But then Loyalist eventually gets Marilyn back. Just get 1 elf for the Marilyn trigger, makes sense. Since they surveilled an elf into the grave. Oh wait, no, it counts itself. Yeah, the eyes itself is the 1 elf. They just got a Wicker Folk, okay. Still good. It is still another chomp. Take 8. They have not hit our other removal spell or our Vivid card, so those are our 2 outs. Although the Vivid card isn't guaranteed to be an out, it's just the Vivid card might also hit the removal. That is neither of those, and it self-mills. That is really sketchy. 11 cards left here. I think I still have to play it. So they don't have Death Touch anymore, and I can have a 7/7 High Perfect here. Like triple block, and then I Death Touch, kill a bunch of their board, which whittles down their Marilyn. I've got to do something here. If I don't cast Scarblade's Malice, I'm dead in the sky. So I have to just flunge in, buff one of these, gain a bunch, probably. Loyalist gets to bring back their elf enchantment and just give me an awful, awful time. But there's absolutely nothing else we can do here. That seems incorrect. Onboard tricks, baby! Unless they have their own trick in hand. Again, I have no choice but to cast the Malice because I have to be above 7 to not die. So technically I'm not getting anything with the Death Touch here. I'm just needing to gain the life, so I'm going to gain more life by putting on the 7/7 than the 5/5. They pick up Formidable Speaker. That is not a good sign that they picked up that over the eyes. So that means they have another bomb to tutor for. Well, let's see. Let's see what else is gonna happen to us. I guess worst case scenario, that's double elf trigger, mill me 4. Oh, Marilyn. Forest. Ditch a card. Draw a card. See what their best creature in their deck is. Tam to give all their stuff hexproof so we can't kill Marilyn. Yeah. At least it's not another Marilyn trigger, but that's obviously very bad. Now our removal spell as an out is no longer a thing. Blighting doesn't target, but can't really play this mill elf with 9 cards left against a Marilyn. Oh, and then they also hit removal. Jesus. Disregard the blighting then. And it's another land. We did not hit our other rare removal there in the bottom 8. So we are dead in the sky. Well, I think that lasted a lot longer than it could have otherwise. I think we played about as well as we could there. Might have been something I missed somewhere, but I don't think there was anywhere we could kill the Marilyn, and if you can't kill the Marilyn, she just wins hard. That was disgusting. Milling, one of our only 2 removal spells, I think, was really the death knell there. But the fact that they then didn't use it, just played a Morcant, grinded things out longer, I feel like we lasted probably about as long as possible there. Yeah. Bummer, but that is the one flaw of the deck. Those are the kind of matchups we're going to have a problem with. If our opponent has one of the best bombs in the set, we're not going to be able to kill it on average, and we will just die eventually. So 1-1 it is, heading into game number 3. Double Malice is awkward. You don't really want multiple combat tricks in one hand, but the rest of the hand looks very exciting. Informant with the Surveil to try to get to the lands for the High Perfects, and of course the Aurora Awakener at the top of the curve. Technically the hand's pretty awkward because you don't really want multiple combat tricks in one hand. You also don't want to start the game with a 7-drop in your opener. But it's definitely not a mulligan with both our colors. There's a Wicker Maw from our opponent. I'd be more than happy to trade and Surveil again here to kind of lock in the next land. I guess I technically should have played Emissary first. I'd gain 1 more life if I choose to Malice, which I think I probably should choose to do. Just play a 2/2 for the turn when I have 2 copies of it. Keep the 4th land. Yeah, we should have played that Emissary pre-attacks. We'd be at 24 instead of 23. Reluctant Doomguard. That's gonna die. Leave your mortal coil, fool. They are black-white, which is theoretically not a great matchup for Morcant, because they can remove -1/-1 counters from their creatures. But if they play something that comes with -1/-1 counters and don't remove them like immediately, then we also have the chance of trying to plurflate them to death before anything crazy happens. Midnight Tilling. Well, let's see if that affects what we play here. Nope. We take a Loyalist for later. This only comes back if it had a -1/-1 counter on it, so it doesn't come back trading off here. Blighted Blackthorn, which can kill the Wretch and reanimate it to draw a card. Nice little combo. they're not gonna do, though. They want to save it and just attack in. Fists? I don't think I need to fists any of these creatures, because I can just jam for a bunch of damage if they don't block. Death touch if they do. And you obviously just blight onto the wretch, right? Because if I proliferate onto it, then it reanimates itself anyway. I guess it's not that bad to blight onto the Blackthorn either, so it could really go either way. The Wretch is funny because it has kind of like reverse persist, which is really weird. Most of the persist cards are like they die and then they come back with a -1/-1 counter on it. This one is like when it dies, if it already had a -1/-1 counter on it, it's back. Weird card. Deceit, double black, maybe discard a card. Well, goodbye, Pitiless Fists. That's a wild choice. Be at 9 life against this amount of stuff on board and let me keep the fight spell here. That is very surprising. I mean, we just killed Deceit, they chump Morcant and go to 1. I guess they trade with Morcant, but still put them to 1, so we do it. Plus Loyalists can bring it back when it dies. One life against triple creature. And that's game. All right, we'll take it. 2-1. I think if they deceived our fight spell, they could have been in there at least another turn. Because we were not getting to this Awakener for a while. Obviously, it's like a huge bummer to see the Awakener and then not rip it out of the hand, but like, it's coming in like 3 turns minimum. And that's if I draw land every single turn, whereas that Fist is immediately so much damage, putting you down to 1, so... I think they got a little too bold with the Deceit play. Maybe they had some extra backup here they thought was going to be just enough to stabilize, but it was not quite, and Pitiless Fists will finish that one off for us. We are 2-1 heading into game number 4. Here we are for game 4 with a reasonable opening hand. We're certainly looking to draw some lands, but so is pretty much every opener. We've got Sneakling into a Loyalist to be attacking with a little 3/3 nice and early. Eclipsed Kithkin for our opponent. Kithkin, a very aggressive strategy generally. We'll hope they don't have the great curve out. I might actually lead with the 1/3 here, just to hold that 2/1 off our face. Yeah, I don't love trading into it with the Sneakling, when the Sneakling could turn into a 3/3 off of land. Plus the Surveil helps us make sure we hit mana. The Druid is mana, but it's mana we have to spend mana to play. It's not a land. I kind of want to mill it. If I don't hit a land, I still want to play Sneakling into Loyalist. I still have a lot of 2 and 3 mana things I want to do other than the Druid. Yeah, I think I just literally mill anything but land for turn. Like, the awkward thing is, like, the Druid is better than anything in our hand, but it is a lot worse than a basic land. There's a non-Kithkin there, the Dawn's Light Archer. I will trade this into that. Even if it's buffed, 3/3 into 4/2 is still a good trade. Shore Lurker. Okay, so they're just green-white stuff. Kithkin into Elf into Merfolk. Shore Lurker's a solid card, though. Flyers have played really well in the set. Oh, these draws. We could have kept a Dryad and then had one Loyalist on board. I guess I'd have the Archer to trade into that. Am I on the back foot enough to throw an Embrace at that thing? I don't think so. I'm 1 mana away from trading off an Archer into it. We really need to trade or keep the Bog Slither's Embrace for if they hit like a bomb creature. It's a big creature. I can Malice that, though. There we go. Got Malice or Archer. I think I need to Malice first because it's stopping a lot more damage. Luminolisk is fine. They really are just green-white stuff, because now there's the elemental. Just green-white curve out. Aggro. There's an elf. There's another Kithkin. Okay. We're now kind of fully chilling at this point. We do need a 4-power creature on board for that Luminolisk, and then even then, because of the Timid Shield Bearer, we actually need a 5-power creature. I may have to Malice again. I'll still have the Embrace. Okay, thank God for Wistfulness. So let's create a Kithkin and buff the whole board every turn. Yeah, the entire board. Creatures you control. Yeah. Oh, boy. This is going to be another position, though, where I'm, like, desperate to draw land. I could play Sneakling and Informant in the same turn to play 2 blockers. Better than the 4/2. I think I need a backup plan for if we don't top deck the land here, which is probably Double Spell. Okay. We did not hit the land. So it is Double Spell. I mean, none of these are worth embracing. Maybe Shield Bearer. Although even if I embrace, I guess I Double Spell. I could play Loyalist and loop Loyalists together. That's also actually pretty impressive. Loyalist my Loyalist. to fight through their stuff. Oof. Eclipsed Kithkin's a great draw because that's going to be double creature off the top, which means a triple buff from Kin Binding. Maybe I needed to just evoke Wistfulness, but I was not expecting 3 creatures to hit the board this turn. Or Pitiless Fists, it's also very bad. Yeah, yeah. I guess, I don't know. That still would have been a really bad turn if I did evoke. It's 8 damage now. I think I'm dead no matter how I play it from here. Because we can go Trump, go to 9 against 5 creatures and have 1 Wistfulness. And they still have the Shield Bearer activated ability, or I can not Trump and then I'm at 5. I don't think there was any way to win this game. Like, even evoking Wistfulness, they hit for 4 now. We would have played 1 blocker that would have just died. They still have all these in a Shield Bearer. And we just got bombed into oblivion here, sadly. I guess maybe the one route that does make it is if we kept the Dryad early, then there's a chance we have this Wistfulness on curve. Block. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I mean, it's so far over lethal. Alright. That was a bummer. That was a real bummer. That felt like a really winnable matchup. Maybe not the most winnable game. It would have involved keeping the Druid. If I kept the Druid, that means that these lands would have taken another turn to get to, because instead of in the grave and being 1 card closer to those lands, I'd be casting the Druid. So actually, it basically takes just as long to get to all the mana, because it takes another turn to draw into those lands. But the Druid's on the board first, at least. Just not enough when we don't have mana. All right. 2-2 it is, heading to Game 5. Here we are for Game 5. Really good at hitting the monocolored hands today, but the Eclipsed Elf has shown up in pretty much all of them to save them. Mud Button Curse Tosser starts things off. For our opponent, we do draw the Forest. So we can maybe draw a spell off of Eclipsed Elf instead. Then there's Boggart Prankster, get in for 3 damage on turn 2. Let's drop Eclipsed Elf. Do think we need to just hit a land here. Oh boy. Well, maybe not. Sorry, mana. We'll take the high perfect. Happy to trade Prankster into the Eclipse. There's Gnarl Bark Elm, which has good abilities if it has counters on it, and we did miss a land. Apparently I'm supposed to be playing 18. Let's just play Loyalist. If it dies, we get Eclipsed Elf back. They can kill it with the Elm, but then we draw an Eclipsed Elf, play it, and get the land off of that. Yep, more than happy with that as the use of their turn. Because we just draw another 2 for 1. Although that is the 4th mana, but if we play the High Perfect, they're just putting counters onto the Elm, which is not good for us. So, I believe we play the Cavalry here, actually. Bone Club Berserker is their next play. Dawnhand Eulogist is the draw. Eclipsed Elf holding up a Scarblade's Malice seems reasonable. If we hit a land, we play a Scarblade Scout itself. Do think I need mana badly enough to do that. Milled our Pitiless Fists, that's a tragedy. Super big Bone Club Berserker, that's a super trade. The Wretched Wretches, also very good against the High Perfect. This has ended up pretty awkward for that card. Play Eulogist, hold up Malice. We found our Bog Slither's Embrace target. 5 mana, 6/6 flyer. Absolutely massive. Menace Death Touch is pretty good. This deck has gotten a lot of mileage out of Scarblade's Malice. Another Bone Club Berserker. Is Pummeler for hire for us? Gain some life and we have the trade for the Berserker at the ready. Seems reasonable. Boggart, Curse Crafter, ping us whenever something dies. We are at 19 now. So I kind of feel like I can afford to go for the High Perfect at this point, even though it's just going to bring the Wretch back first. Because we start working on chipping away at everybody else. Curse Tosser's fine, you can kill my 2/2. As long as I'm whittling this board down. Get that first kill on the Wretch. So now the next time we kill it, it's gone forever. Alright, should be dead now. Yep. Pummeler's heading in, trading into Berserker. And at this rate, play a Wistfulness and attack all next turn. There's a concession from our opponent. That is 3-2. At least a 50-50 record here as we head into game number 6. Here we are for game 6 on the play. This is a very consistent opener. Druid, Elf, Eulogist, and Pummeler. All castable off of the hand itself if Druid sticks around and Elf hits a land. Now Druid doesn't even need to stick around, Elf doesn't need to draw land. We're doing great. We can get value out of Eclipsed Elf at any point. Let's put more pressure on our opponent by dropping our 4-drop here turn 3. And then we have 5 mana to play around with. Just drop the 5-drop and go full pressure here. Double 3-drop next turn would be absolutely gnarly as a curve out here on the play off of this Druid. They dropped a Gallant Foul Knight. We did not hit a land, but they have no good blocks already, so we're hitting for 8. We're having their life total again. Eclipse Elf could hit a land, and we could double Elf here. Double creature here. Does hit a land. I'm sure there are ways to survive this at higher rarities, but I feel like there's not a lot of them. At this point, we had a curve out and they did not have their first spell until turn 4 on the draw. There's the concession from our opponent. Gotta love that play-draw differential. But they also did have a really slow hand. Not being able to play something till turn 4 gave us a lot of early damage there. That is 4-2. Guaranteed a positive record out of this draft as we head into game number 7. Alright, here we are for game number 7. Reasonable opening hand here. These cards kind of have nothing to do with each other, but that's fine. If the Wicker Maw could give us double blue, then I guess that would work with Wistfulness. That would be a little synergy there, but it doesn't, so. These cards are all just hanging out, doing their own stuff. Virulent Emissary doesn't really fit into our curve at all. It's a good card, but not against 1/1s and 1/2s, and I don't actually think that's going to be a good draw here. Tributary Vaulter, our opponent is Merfolk curving out on us. I could run out Loyalist here, since I do have an Elf engrave, if it dies. Vault that little token up to a bigger stat line. Sketchy. Gotta let the token just do its thing for a while. The Wayfinder. Because yeah, even if I trade with the token, then they're just buffing the Mentor, then they're just buffing the Wayfinder. The Vaulter is the problem here. Is it a big enough problem to embrace? In a deck with 2 removal spells total, probably not. But it's hitting for essentially 4 a turn. Which is not a good time. I'll have a 5 toughness creature out next turn. That'll stop the ground attacks in theory. I think I saved the Embrace. It's their own wistfulness, but they have double blue, which is a lot better than double green. They get the draw 2. That probably seals it. This is kind of the opposite of our last game. Our opponent is the one with the great curve on the play. 2, 3, 4, 5. Just got some lands here. So wistfulness with no targets. And when we do... I guess we don't stop taking damage here, because now my wistfulness has to trade into their wistfulness instead of her holding their little stuff off. Now I could throw Informant and Wickermaw in front of the wistfulness and save ours to block their merfolk on the ground. So yeah, they need another spell to break through here. Otherwise we are just taking 1 a turn again. And then we have time to draw into some stuff. But they've got a lot of cards in hand thanks to that Wistfulness cast. So they could easily have the 1 extra card they need to break through here. Eclipsed Marrow. Incredible card, like all the Eclipsed cards. It's going to be a double creature. Oh, it's a land, okay. Just a 2/3 on the ground and a land is not that bad. But it looks like, yeah, we are just going to be taking 1 a turn then. There's Pitiless Fists. If they have instant speed removal, that is going to demolish me. Or an instant speed bounce spell or something like that. But I have to try to kill the Vaulter. Let's do it with the Informant here, probably. Spread out my best creatures. Yeah, and that's the best one for them to kill or bounce, because we would get an enter the battlefield effect or a death trigger, depending. Okay. Still in this game, then. If I Bog Slither's Embrace their Wistfulness, we have guaranteed we will never cast another removal spell for the rest of the game. However, then their board is pretty middling here, and our own Wistfulness and Informant can start putting pressure on them. They've got a lot of cards left in their hand, though. Do we like combat tricks and stuff? I'm gonna hold another turn here. There's like the +2/+2 first strike untap that I think is pretty reasonable in Merfolk, because there's so many creatures that care about tapping. Oh. I mean, we die on the spot, because that doesn't bounce elementals. Oh wait, no, our own Wistfulness doesn't get bounced. Okay, we're not dead on the spot, but that's bad. That's really bad. I'm very glad I held on to Embrace at least. Oh, well. Guess I will die. Greatness at bomb rarity. And we have to just Wistfulness and kill Sunderflock. That's still dead, because we trade Wistfulness for Wistfulness, kill that, take 4. So I need to play a lifelinker then. It's kind of gross. Okay, Loyalist for Loyalist is something. But again, this is all assuming they have absolutely nothing in their hand, but that's the only way we're still in the game. Like, they just play one piece of removal and we're dead. Kill the lifelinker. One bounce spell, bounce the lifelinker. Eclipsed Marrow, do some digging. Finds Water Shaper. Other tap creatures are indestructible. I mean... that is a card. We don't have First Strike to kill Water Shaper before killing the other stuff, but it doesn't really matter if they attack with Water Shaper because of the way damage works. I'll still kill the other stuff because they'll have the damage remaining on them. So if we hold up Malice, we've got 7 mana here. 6 mana to play creatures. I could play 2 creatures and that's it. So we play Loyalist again and an Informant. Up our lifelinking stats. So Death Touch isn't gonna work with the Water Shaper around, but killing something with actual combat damage will. So say we do this, and this. This is gain 3, where at 7 we take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I wouldn't even need to cast Scarblade's Malice at that point. Although we want to cast Scarblade's Malice so that we can get another creature out and we can kill more things. If they have any piece of interaction, we're going to lose here regardless. I think I kill as many things as I can as the play and gain the life, get a blocker back. Which is to do this, but also cast Malice even though the Death Touch is irrelevant. Okay. I think I'm dead then. No, I go to 1 against that. Yeah, I go to 1 here. Do they have double interaction? I mean, sure. They just had absolutely everything. That was insane. Alright. Fought that out much longer than I thought was going to happen, but we got multi-bombed. They had the full curve out as well. Full synergy merfolk stuff. Sunderflock, Wistfulness, Water Shaper, the Rhymekin Recluse as well. That was gross. All right. Yeah, can't do much there. I think our one game we might have been able to change was the just Great Forest Druid Surveil, maybe keeping that, getting a bit more mana out of it. But I'm happy with a 4-3 out of this deck up here in the Mythic queues, honestly. I do think that we were in a solid archetype, getting the Loyalists pretty late. I do think that green-black was a good archetype to get into. However, that removal was not here in the pod, and that is what kept getting us killed game over game. Pretty much all of our losses, in some part, due to the lack of removal in this deck, especially the first loss against the Fairy Bomb. But really, all of them would have been much better with more interaction. So we should have done everything we could to get the interaction more heavily. I don't remember passing an insane amount of interaction. I know we passed at least one Bogslitter's Embrace. Don't remember what we took over it, but that may not have been worth it, depending on what it was. Outside of that, there was a Blight Rot that we passed as well. Yeah. I don't remember what we were taking over these cards, but we really needed removal here. And it didn't feel like there were tons of opportunities to get it, so we needed to scoop it up really highly, even over other somewhat premium cards that we had taken over that removal. Yeah, fine average record here for an average deck. It's a good color pair to be in. We got good synergy cards. We got late Signpost uncommons, as well as a few good rares, but that lack of removal really drawing it down from being an incredible deck to just an average deck here at the 4-3 record today. But that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for their support, as well as you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it and are interested in seeing some more, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm, send you some more in your recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you check out the Twitch channel, the link in the description below, and if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. Other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.